Hello there. What we're going to do now is we're going to tackle the question 2 of the AQA GCSE French Foundation Tier writing paper. Question 2 is always the 40-word question, which is worth 16 marks, which is a big chunk of our 50. And when you think that the difference between a grade 3 and a grade 4 in 2018 in the writing paper was just 9 marks, 16 marks is a fair old chunk, and we need to make sure we get as many of those as possible. So hopefully I'm going to show you how it's very doable to get a really top mark without loads and loads of complexity, because this is a question which wants accuracy rather than complexity. There's no need to put loads of complex language in here. The main aim is to get the message across and make it clear, and mention all 4 of the bullet points. So unlike the 90-word question, which comes later, question 4, you don't get a choice with the 40-word question. Everybody does the same one. So there's no choice about the bullet points. We have got to write something about all 4 of the bullet points. And usually the bullet points are quite short, and hopefully they use quite a lot of cognates very often, so that you're not penalized for not knowing a word. But straight away, as we look at that, not everybody might recognize what la lecture means, and that might make us think that we can't write about it. But when we get to that, I'll show you how we can get around that problem using opinions. So 40 words in French, that's 10 words per bullet point. It doesn't have to be that, and one bullet point can be longer than another one, and you can go over the 40 words. You don't have to spend your exam time counting words. That's just to give you an idea that you can get full marks by using by just writing 40 words. So let's get started. 10 marks for content, 6 marks for language. To get full marks for content, we need to mention all 4 of the bullet points. I would always do it in order, and I would tick them off when I've done them on the exam paper so that I can see what I'm doing. I would space them out as well to make it clear to me and also clear to the examiner. So TV, what can I write about TV? I'll say I love TV, so start off with an opinion, always a nice easy strategy. J'adore la télé. I'm going to use the word from, I'm going to use télévision, I'm going to use it from the exam question. If I use these words from the exam question, then it's very clear to the examiner that I'm mentioning it, and it will be easier for them to tick off that I've said something about it. Say something that's nice and clear, can't go wrong. I love television, I've mentioned it. But that's only 3 words, so I need to go on a bit more. My English spell checker's messing that up. I might turn that off. There we go. Okay, so I love television. I know I watch. That's I can say what I watch. So je regarde la télévision. Let's say le weekend. At the weekend, avec ma famille, with my family. I'm going to avoid saying things like me and my family watch soaps or things like that. I'm going to avoid my family and I do this, me and my family do that, because then the verb changes, and I want to keep it simple. There's no need to have complicated verbs in here. I can just stick to je. So I'm going to go back to I watch, je regarde, and if I want to mention other people, I can always use avec, like I have done here, and put them on the end. Never start with other people at the front in the way we would say it in English. Me and my friends do this. Avoid that one. Je regarde les comédies. I watch comedies. Comédie. Now I can have a reason, parce que c'est amusant, because it's fun. I watch comedies because it's fun. Okay, and I'm going to move down to the next line. I'm going to tick this one off. I've done that one, and now I'm going to move on to music concerts. So I'm going to say often, je vais au concert de musique. Now, if I don't know how to say the music concerts with or, if I got that wrong, it's not going to make much difference at foundation tier. I'm still going to understand I go music concerts, so that's not a problem. I'm using the word out of the bullet point. Je vais au concert de musique avec mes amis. Avec mes amis. I'm going to use I think that. We don't need lots of complexity in this, but it's nice to have a little bit of variety. And what can bring the mark down with this question is if you overdo it with the opinions, and every single bullet point is an opinion after an opinion after an opinion, and you get j'aime, 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 je n'aime pas, done. You've got to have a little bit of variety of vocabulary in there, so I've got I love, I watch, it is, I go, I think that. Already I've got some variety. Je pense que c'est reposant. I think that I don't think that it's relaxing, actually. Music concerts aren't relaxing, they're exciting. Je pense que c'est passionnant. So it's always a good idea to have lots of adjectives that you can put after c'est to give opinions with, because you want to find one that will fit what you're writing about. But if I couldn't remember exciting, I could have said it's relaxing. The fact that it isn't doesn't really matter. It still makes sense. I think that it's relaxing. I'm going to use je préfère here. Now, careful with the direction of the accents. Make sure that if you're saying I prefer, the accents are pointing towards the F. Okay, because if you do this one, préférer, which has the accents all pointing to the right, the acute accents, that means favourite. So don't muddle those two up, because you don't want to say I favourite. You want to say I prefer la musique pop. Cependant, however, that's a nice easy bit of variety to use. Cependant, mon ami, my friend, aime, my friend likes la musique rock. So that's a nice strategy to give a bit of variety as well, is to contrast with what you like with what somebody else likes. If we know j'aime is I like, then just take off the I, the j, the J apostrophe, to get the likes ready for my friend likes. Mon ami aime. It gets a little bit more complicated if you say my friends like, but if you keep it to one person, then that works really well. Cependant, mon ami aime la musique rock. Okay, that one's done. So I can cross that one off. And I can move on to le cinéma. So le cinéma, I've got lots of. It's going to be a bit samey if I like everything. So I'm going to say I hate the cinema. Je déteste le cinéma. But of course, this is a little bit more tricky, because I might run out of things to say if I say I hate it. Je déteste le cinéma car, I've said parce que, so I'm going to vary it, car c'est très, very, get the accent the right way around, très cher, because it's very expensive. I hate cinema because it's very expensive. If I hate it, it makes sense that I don't go there very often. So I need a negative now if I'm going to say I don't go to the cinema. And this is where things can go wrong. But if I know that ne and pas around the je vais, that I go, make it into I don't go. That is something that grammatically is well worth learning. because it's very handy and it can double up the amount you can say. Je vais, I go. Je ne vais pas, I don't go. Je ne vais pas au cinéma souvent. I don't go to the cinema often. I'm going to use the same strategy again. I'm going to say, but my mum. If we're going to use the words for mum, dad, brother, make sure that the accent goes the other way, the grave on the pointing to the left on family members. It's always a grave there. Ma mère adore le cinéma. So same strategy. I know j'adore is I love, so I can take the I off the je and get my mum loves. Ma mère adore. Don't say ma mère j'adore, because that would be my mum I love, and that doesn't work. Ma mère adore le cinéma, not ma mère j'adore. That's on my mum I love. So my mum loves the cinema. Surtout, that's a useful word to know. Surtout, especially les films d'action, especially action films. Okay, so surtout is a good way of using, of stretching it out a little bit. Surtout, especially, or you can also use for example, because it's very similar in English. Par exemple, just remember it's par and there's an E in there after the X, not an A like in English. Par exemple. For example, action films. But I actually prefer especially here, so I'm going to keep with that. Surtout. Okay, and the last one then, la lecture, reading. It means reading, so if I know that, I can write a lot about that. But I come into this exam and I'm under pressure and I can't think what la lecture means, but I know I've got to mention it. So this is where I just stick to an opinion, and I'm going to. I've had j'adore, I've had j'aime, I've had je déteste. I'm going to have the last one in the four. Je n'aime pas la lecture. Now remember, I don't know what I'm writing about. I don't know that it means reading. So I'm going to keep this very simple, but I'm going to make sure I use the word lecture out of the question. Je n'aime pas la lecture. I know it means I don't like whatever this thing here is. If I'm going to extend it and give a reason, I've got to be careful. If I say because it's boring, do I know for sure that this thing can be boring? I'm not 100% sure that everything can be boring, so I'm going to say it's rubbish. Parce que c'est nul, because that's even more sort of fundamental, basic, and not saying too much detail at all, because it's rubbish. I don't like ... because it's rubbish. I think that could apply to pretty much everything, and that's well worth it. If you haven't got, if you've said j'aime, if you've said a positive opinion, then maybe say because it's great, parce que c'est génial. And again, keep it very, very basic. Don't say it's interesting or it's fun. You don't know what it is, so you don't know that it can possibly be interesting or fun. I imagine most things are, but safer to be as straightforward as possible. Je n'aime pas la lecture parce que c'est nul. I'm stopping there. I don't know what I'm writing about. I'm going to cross that out. I've mentioned it. That's all I need to do. And I'm not going to try and add detail when I don't know what I'm talking about. But if I really was struggling with word count, of course, I could do the same strategy again. I could say, on the other hand, or however, my brother likes la lecture, whatever la lecture is, without going into any details. So there we have it. A quick word count, but you don't need to. That shows me there we've got 81 words, twice as many as I need. So I could have got rid of quite a lot of that. I could get rid of this bit about my mother loves it. I could get rid of the I prefer pop music, and I would have plenty for full marks. But hopefully that shows you how you can add a little bit of detail, because when we're looking at the language mark, it's important to get not just I like, I hate, I don't like, but get a variety of verbs in there. There we go. I hope that helps. Thank you very much. Bonne chance.